name of the player from West Point. Ricky Thompson, former Baylor wide receiver, radio sideline analyst with us. Ricky, we wanted to wait until after Baylor made the decision as an offensive coordinator. Your thoughts about what they've done with the hiring of Jake Spavital?
Well, two things. First off, I guess the two finalists were really two different type offenses. I mean, everybody hears spread and they think that's all. They're all the same. They're not. I mean, when you go to the Leach tree, you're really talking about run and shoot. And to me, that's a throw it 40, 50 times a game. Your running backs really, they get their carries by swing pass, circle routes. You get the ball to them by throwing it to them. And I think the pure spread is the one that our fans are used to. When you spread your offensive lineman, you create a running game like this guy coming in did at Cal, where his guy averaged 114 yards a game, led the Pac-12 in rushing. That's the type spread I like, because I do still think you have to run the football, and I think he's going to do that. So all things said, and the situation we were in, trying to get a guy to come in knowing the situation, I don't know if we could have done much better, guys.
Ricky, what do you think about the personnel on the roster they have right now being able to move into this system? Obviously, they're going to get new players. They're going to be in the portal and all that. But of the guys that could potentially stay, is this something you think they can transition to faster?
I think this offense, number one, let's start in the backfield. I think this is made for Richard Reese. What we were doing was not. I think this is this should excite him. So running back spot, Pendergrass, Dominique, those guys, they're fine in the spread. I mean, you always want to add guys. Receivers, got to get some more speed outside to be real effective at the spread. I think when you have two guys outside that can really run, it really opens up your slot guys to get open. Just go back to Texas State and look what they did to us in the slot first game of the year. They killed us. Wasn't their outside guys, it was the guys in the slot. They had receivers outside that could really run. You end up man inside with those slot guys and they kill you. So I think you've got to work some at the outside receiver spot. I think linemen, the way our guys are built, we had really more tall, slender type linemen, not a lot of beef on them. I think this offense is better for those guys. They don't have to blow guys off the ball. You just get position and you turn. I think that's better. Quarterback, Sawyer, this is the first year he's ever taken a snap under center. All he's ever run is the spread. So I think it's better for him. Whether Blake ends up leaving or he comes back, I don't think any of us know that yet. I know they'll probably try to keep him. He may already have his mind made up. But tight ends, we may have about 6 too many. I don't know. But there'll have to be an adjustment there. I don't think there's any question about that. We'll see how that goes or how that's affected. But there's going to have to be some adjustments. There's no question. You don't go to a completely different style offense without changes. So I think clearly we'll have some personnel changes.
Yeah, I don't know if you were able to see or hear much of the interview, Ricky, but Dave did mention that Jake Spavital was currently meeting with Blake Shapen about his decision to enter the portal. So there is at least that conversation already ongoing and the door at least cracked open that he could potentially return. So that was definitely an interesting note from that interview.
Yeah, I had heard that, and I think, Blake, 1 year left. I don't know that he would be one of the top guys in the portal, but to stay home, which this should be home to him, and I think the spread would be good for Blake. I think he's that top quarterback that could really deliver the ball in a spread top offense. I hope he stays. I understand if he doesn't, but we'll find some guys back there. But I would hope Blake finishes it out here and would get a dose of this offense that I wish he could have played in some before.
Go ahead, Craig.
What are your thoughts, Ricky, on Oranda taking over on defense for all intents and purposes? He's going to call plays, as he mentioned in here. Powledge is still going to have a role, but he's going to be the guy. Basically, it'll start and stop with him on the defensive side. I know there's plenty that thought he should probably have more on his plate as far as that goes, but now he's going to have a full plate with the defense. What are your thoughts on that move there?
I wish he'd have done it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I think it's exactly what he needs to do. Not a big fan, but remember Gary Patterson. I mean, the dude had some of the best defenses in the league, and he was the head coach, and they won a lot of football games. So it's not like it's the first time somebody's coordinated one side of the ball and they were the head coach. He's just going to learn how to do it. He'll have to delegate some things, but that's what being a leader is, and he's going to have to figure out how to do it. But supposedly one of the best coordinators in the country, why wouldn't we want him calling our defense? I think it's the exact right move, and I wish it would have been done a couple of years ago. Might have been in a different position defensively than we are now.
Yeah, Ricky, I was kind of always surprised that wasn't the case from the beginning. And look, Ron Roberts, when he came in, that worked out. But to me, that was, because sometimes when the coaches give it up, it should be somebody like Jimbo who's not adapting his system, or it's just they're older. Well, Dave's not old, so it would still seem to me be in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think so too. And the other thing it's going to do, to me, it's going to get him even more involved in the game, and I like that, and I think that'll affect personality. If you look now and you watch occasionally on the sideline and you see Dave, which a lot of head coaches are, they're huddled on the sideline there determining what they're going to do, and Dave's standing out maybe a couple of yards outside the huddle with his headset up, and he's not really in there involved in it. And I know he was trying to let his coordinators do their jobs, but I like the fact he's going to have to get more involved. And I think with that, a little bit of adrenaline goes with that. And I just think I don't see anything negative about it at all, guys. I think it's the right thing. I think it's the right thing for him to get involved in. We know as by reputation, he's really good at it. So, I think it's a great move.
He said in a question I asked him, and Phil Bennett had brought this up, that in that last drive against West Virginia, he was on and he heard what was being said on the calls. But he did not, for example, veto. He did not get involved. He admitted that. That's not going to happen again, is what he said, because he'll be involved in that. Does that surprise you? And it was pretty obvious that he was not more involved than maybe, oh, wait a minute, are we sure here?
Yeah, it is a little bit surprising, and I think I see reasons for doing that, just that you want your coordinators to do their job, and you don't want to be seen as the head coach that interferes. But you know what? If anybody interferes, it ought to be the head coach.
Yep.
I mean, he's the guy that's got his neck on the line. So I'm honestly kind of glad to hear that he wasn't involved, because I don't think it was called very well. So I think that's a good thing that he wasn't, and that we're going to see something different. And I think that's really good, because remember, guys, second week of the year, we're going to see Air Force,
yep,
which is a team that you see an offense like that, maybe once every 4 or 5 years? Well, we're going to see it twice in 3 years. So that is a real test for a defensive coordinator to get ready for an offense like that you play once in a minute. So I'm really glad that he wasn't involved in that last series. I thought that was really, that was just not a way to end the game when you were in a position to win that thing. They had to go 80 yards and didn't have much time to do it.
Ricky, I know that the Bears did not see Oklahoma State this season, but you did see Texas, and I'm not sure how much pokes that you've actually watched this year, but any thoughts on the Big 12 championship game, the end of an era, so to speak, tomorrow in Arlington?
Yeah, it really is. I don't think there's any question Texas should win that game. We've seen a lot of games before where the team that should win didn't, but I'm going to be really surprised. And guys, what about Oklahoma State? South Alabama beat you 33-6, then you beat K-State and Oklahoma. So how do you figure those guys out? They're capable, but have been really inconsistent. I would really like to see them play well tomorrow. I don't know what'll happen there, but if I had to pick one way or the other, I'd say that's a game Texas should win.
Ricky, thank you, as always, for all of what you did throughout the year. We'll kind of pick your brain as well, so don't you go too far. No more board, not too many board meetings, but I know you need to do that running the bank you do at Elias Bank.
I'm sure you telling him not to have board meetings is brick in his heart.
Man, I'd hate to miss.
All right, Ricky, thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
you so much. Ricky Thompson from Baylor Radio Sideline Reporter, and he's got a sense of humor, and he's not afraid. That truth serum. We'll have J.J. Joe on next week at some point to talk about Spavital once he's introduced on Monday.
Yeah.